Well, hello, and welcome to Weekly Wedding Prep Live. My name is Mark. This is a chance to hang out, officiants and celebrants all over the world, talk wedding ceremonies, ask questions, share wins, share challenges. The chat is always lit up with wonderful people, some who are members of Unboring Wedding Academy, some of you are first timers. I would love to know if you are brand new. Please say hello in the chat if this is your first time. If you've got a wedding coming right up, please let us know. Sarah did say in the chat here that it is wedding season. Wedding season is gearing up in Low Country of South Carolina. Sabrina, you won today. You were here first, and it sounds like you've got a great Valentine's Day weekend planned. Heading out with the hubby and going to do some elopements while you're on a trip, which is absolutely awesome. Yeah, wedding season is that's fascinating. South Carolina wedding season is heating up. That's amazing. I've said to you here in New Brunswick on the ocean in February, it is definitely not heating up in any way. Maybe romantically. Valentine's Day is coming, but otherwise it's pretty quiet. We are getting ready for spring to spring, and then the weddings start getting going. So I am super excited though, because over the weekend I did lock down a New Year's Eve wedding ceremony this year. Absolutely love that. I'm so excited in St. Andrews. Beautiful venue. It's going to be awesome. I love officiating New Year's Eve weddings because it's kind of like a wedding inside a party. Everyone is there, super excited and jazzed to go. And my own wedding anniversary is December 31st. So my wife's good with it. If you're wondering, Mark, you're going to work on New Year's? The thing is, the wedding ceremonies are typically on New Year's Eve. They're like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, maybe even late as 7 o'clock. And we don't get invited to any New Year's Eve parties that start before like 8. So it's the best of all worlds. I can officiate a ceremony, which I absolutely love, drop the mic, walk off, change into my New Year's Eve party outfit, and then make it to whatever celebrations our family will be enjoying. So super excited about that. If you have not officiated a New Year's Eve ceremony, I highly recommend it. That also made me think about, the topic, the question that gets asked a lot. And I'd love to survey some of you in the chat because it's just a matter of preference, I think. Do you charge a surcharge for holidays? So some officiants, if you're not aware of this, if you're a professional or thinking of going pro, some, I wouldn't say just officiants, I'd say some wedding pros add sort of a premium surcharge if the wedding that they're being asked to work is on a holiday. And I'm going to just show my cards here and say I do not do that, mostly because, I understand the factors involved, but I would say, from my perspective, I am choosing to work on New Year's Eve or on whatever, Christmas Day. No, thank you. I have 2 young kids, and so I would never accept a wedding on that time. But that's an example of, hey, if it's Thanksgiving weekend or Easter Saturday or Easter Sunday or that kind of thing, I am choosing whether or not to take on the wedding, and the work will not be any more than any other time, right? So for me, it's a matter of I don't want to charge my couple, and I think this is kind of how I'm wired. I never want to charge my couple for something that's like insubstantial. If they were asking me to do something that were significantly more amount of work, so for example, my pricing involves travel, and so I charge $9.99 for basically a 25-30 minute max radius around my house where I live, and anything beyond that is kind of a different region. And tangibly, couples can understand that because they are asking me to travel, and that takes time. So time compensation for time spent, yes. But of course, when it's a holiday, I'm not actually doing more time. Yes, my family perhaps wishes that I were hanging out with them, but officiating a wedding ultimately is like, you know, you get dressed, you drive out there, you're on site for an hour and 15, an hour and a half. You put in all the work in the weeks before, and so I personally don't charge a surcharge on that. But I would love to know if there's any differing opinion on that. So far we have Sabrina, the consummate professional, who also does not charge extra for a holiday. Do I hear anyone willing to wade into the arena of like, no, I charge more, and here's why? And again, I don't think there's a right or wrong. Like I said, many wedding pros do charge it, so it's not like you'd be lonely in that regard. You would definitely find company in wedding professionals who charge a surcharge for holidays, but that's not a relationship I want to have with my couple. I don't want it to feel purely transactional with my couple. I do want them to feel like they're getting treated fairly and getting the most value from my kind of all-inclusive package. So kind of jumped into the deep end of the pool there. But I just think it's important for you to think about that when you are a wedding pro. And if you were to get asked that question, will you officiate on Easter, or, I don't know if you would consider Valentine's Day a holiday. Some officiants actually give a discount on Valentine's Day or something like that. And again, I also do not offer discounts on my officiating. Just the price is the price. You're going to get 110% of my focus and energy and effort and skill and craft and all that stuff. I want every couple to be treated exactly the same. So we're hello to Sabrina. Yes, Sabrina's saying hello to Sarah, and John is here from I believe he is sarcastically saying hot and sticky Massachusetts, unless he's from the North Pole, which I know you're not, John. It is freezing, but today, I mean, that's 0 degrees Celsius, and that feels absolutely wonderful compared to some of the icy blasts that we have been enduring up here on the northeast coast. So welcome, John, and stay warm. Jerry's here. There's a little apricity in the air today. My goodness, have you been reading Charles Dickens or the Victorian novelists? That's a $10 word there. I absolutely love it. Just enough winter sun to make the cold feel friendly. Yes, that is the definition of the word. So awesome, Jerry. Love that you're here, and love that you are elevating our vocabulary. And Catherine is here from Venice, Florida. Jack from Michigan. Feels like 19. Oh, that's coming our way tomorrow. It's going to be so much colder. I run 5K every day, so I'm out there no matter what's coming out of the sky, what's in the air. So thanks for the heads up. I do peek on my app and say, okay, like today I knew it's going to be like, okay, only -2. I'm not going to wear 2 pairs of pants, but tomorrow might be a 2 pair of panter. Josephine baking up a storm, I'm sure, from Schenectady, New York. I did better today, I think, on that. So good to see you here. And oh yes, we have another appreciator of the word apricity. Terry is here from sunny Ottawa. That's fantastic. I think, again, Michigan, Ontario, it's going to be sunny tomorrow and quite cold. All right, Jack's got a question, and that's a good segue into, let's get serious here. Although I did kind of cover a topic, I do come with prepared questions. And I just kind of answer those if there is a bit of a void there in the chat. If I feel like, okay, no one's got a burning question, some of you email me ahead of time with some questions. I did get a couple. I scour kind of the questions I get from members or non-members. I do get emails. Like I say, some are in response to my email where I say, I'm going live, send me your questions. Other times it's just kind of, as things come up, people ask me questions, and I think this would benefit everybody on the live. But also I get YouTube comments, I get questions. I get questions through the socials as well on things that I put out. So this is absolutely your time in the chat to hit me up with some questions. That's why it's called Weekly Wedding Prep. We got weddings coming up. We got questions as professionals, whether it's ceremony related, business related. That is why I'm here. That's why I absolutely love doing this with you. And when you ask a question in the chat, you're not just going to get my opinion. You are going to get the brain trust of amazing people, many veterans, professionals, many members of Unboring Wedding Academy. If you want to come in as a member, it's unboringweddingacademy.com. That is, you purchase the course and you are in. I have to shoot a welcome video to Martha here, who just came in the course in the last 24 hours. So welcome to Martha. If you're lurking, I want to say hello. And that is kind of how you become a member. You get that ceremony training. You get access to Officiantly for one ceremony. And if you want to upgrade to Officiantly Unlimited, that's our ceremony management and automation platform. It's officiant.ly. So Jack, I have one more question. One more question. Did you have a question up above? Did I miss? No, I see where you say hello. Okay, you have a question. Should a wedding officiant have liability insurance? Oh, this is a big one. So this is kind of that teach what you know thing. Should a wedding officiant have liability insurance? They probably should, especially in the United States. And I say this with love as a cousin. Yes, as cousins, Canadians and Americans are going through some things right now. We want to get a bridge open. All right, let's not talk about that. But what is, the U.S. tends to be a little bit more litigious. And there is a story that has now become kind of apocryphal that I do see in Facebook groups of officiants and celebrants, where an officiant stepped out of the way to kiss, knocked over something that was glass, or knocked something over that went into some plate glass that was behind. That glass cut the person standing nearby, and then that person had to get, surgery or treatment. And then the venue, I believe, is coming after the officiant for causing that, and it is a litigious nightmare. You would not have to worry about that kind of thing if you had insurance, definitely. You sign a contract with the couple, right? And one of those kind of smart clauses to have in a contract is limited liability, where you can't sue me for anything more than you paid me. So in a case like that, if the couple were coming after you, your contract could potentially hold up in terms of, well, no, it's written right here that, okay, I have to refund you 100%, say, but you can't charge me 10x or even $1 more. So it is probably good to cover yourself by getting insurance. Also, Jack, something that I am seeing, I have never experienced this, but maybe it's just the Canadian thing, is some venues require all vendors who are going to serve a couple on their property to present proof of insurance. And so, I suppose that's something that if you found that out, you could quickly scramble and get insurance. I will say right now, if you're a member of the IAPWO, Laura Cannon's a friend of mine. If you've been to Wedding MBA, you've seen Laura speak, and the IAPWO, the International Association of Professional Wedding Officiants. I do believe that they have, and again, as a Canadian, I've looked into it, and they couldn't help me because it's international, but they have a deal for Americans. Typical. They have kind of a group plan for Americans to, where you can buy professional insurance for officiants. Group plans, of course, when you're talking insurance, are always a lower price. You get a better deal because of the groupness of it. Insurance companies really like that, the bulk plan, many members under one plan. So check that out, IAPWO. And I can say that as a member of IAPWO, I love showing that badge. I love showing that I'm adhering to a standard of conduct as an officiant. This is just my chance to give them a shout out. Also, Unboring Wedding Academy and Pro are listed on their website as approved education programs for their certified professional wedding officiant designation. So that is very rigorous process where, IAPWO, if you're a member, then you can move on and apply to get that full certification. I believe you need 50 weddings and proofs of reviews, and it's very rigorous. But they also require a certain level of education, which means they, reached out to me, and I had to get my courses approved to meet their criteria. So you can check that out on the IAPWO's CPWO designation area. But check out also, if you're a member or not a member, it's 99 US a year to become a member. And that might be, I mean, like I say, I'm a member just because I think it's so great to be able to say to couples, look, I'm a member of the IAPWO. It's an association of very professional, serious-minded officiants and celebrants who want to be held to a certain standard. It is voluntary, so it's kind of like pay to play, but like many associations, you pay to come on, and then you, by doing so, you commit to adhering to a standard of excellence, I would say. This is different. Many of you are certified by Unboring Wedding as well. I have a different set of requirements. I just got reached out to this week by a member saying, okay, I have Academy. If I purchase Pro, do I become certified? And yes, so Unboring Wedding certification, I ask that you have taken Academy, taken Pro, have both certificates of completion. And when you have the Pro course, I ask for a few things. And this is an example. CPWO asks for like 50 ceremonies, 50 reviews. I ask for photos of you officiating, a website, a rack card, some things like that, Google My Business profile. So certifications are good, where you basically are, again, adhering to a standard of conduct. You are also accomplishing different levels of professionalism. And ultimately, this is so couples can find you and say, yeah, this you clearly know what you're doing, and this is Unboring Wedding's way of saying that, of completely endorsing and recommending officiants who have taken both courses and completed the requirements of Pro, so that we can give you badges and put you on unboringwedding.com/certified with all the other members who have done that as well. All that to say, yes, I cannot not recommend insurance. Even though I am uninsured and have been doing so for 10 plus years as an officiant. I don't even know if when I worked for Young, Hip, and Married, an officiating company, if they had insurance. Now, I suppose if I ran an officiant company, I almost said mill, which I don't want to say that, because then I've come on here before talking about how officiant companies, like starting one, is not for me. But if you work for an officiant company, officiant mill is kind of like slang, like a blah blah mill. It's like, you got people working under you and doing the work, and you take a portion and you provide their marketing and take their payments and things like that. So there's a place for it. Absolutely. It's not my cup of tea, but a company like that, if you have one, if you were to run one, you definitely want to insure your staff against things like this. Because if you have 5 or 10 officiants all over your region, potentially falling through plate glass windows or something, you want to protect yourself on behalf of them. You want to protect their clients from indemnity or being sued or that kind of thing. So great question. Lots to digest. I would say you probably should have insurance. Yes. And you might be able to, if you have house insurance, car insurance. I know I could probably look up business insurance with my investors group or my bank or something like that. There are ways to get insurance pretty quickly. But if you're looking for kind of a professional grouping, then you might want to look at IAPWO. Okay, so that was a fantastic question. Hopefully my answer helped. Okay, we're connecting here. Sabrina, we got, and Catherine, my small world. My dad's family is from Englewood, Florida. Incredible. And I do believe up here, Sabrina said, I lived in Irmo, South Carolina for 15 years. I mean, Sabrina's just connected to everybody. It's incredible. All right, so Ben is here. Good to see you, Ben. I can't always make it, but love when you're here. One Godfathers of Unboring Wedding and Surcharge. So again, we're taking a little poll here. We got Sabrina, no. We got Ben, no. Dale, good to see you. Good afternoon from Cleveland. Although I'm learning to be officiant, I am also a professional wedding DJ. Awesome. And also a wedding photographer. Whoa, that's a lot of wedding caps. I do not charge anything extra for holiday engagement. So thank you for that. And so it sounds like you can, again, fulfill multiple roles as a wedding pro on holidays. Now, I think DJs especially are used to working on holidays, right? Like that's kind of your bread and butter. Weekends and holidays, that's when the parties are. So I think it would be a bit strange for DJs to say, oh, if this is a party weekend, that's going to cost you extra. And again, that's my philosophy around officiating personally is I just don't want to charge a surcharge for that. No extra there, John says, just grateful for the work. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so Mike is here and says it's on my website that I charge extra, but you haven't done so. Oh, so that's interesting. I wonder if what the reasoning is for that. I have a burning CRM question. Oh, okay. Mike, always appreciate you being here. And I know you're talking about CRMs. I don't know if you were here last week when I referred to this question where basically I said all the reasons why I don't use a CRM. And I actually spent 40 minutes going through the process that you're probably already familiar with of why I don't use a CRM personally, because of all those triggers, those milestones throughout the five triggers basically, and they're fail safes in my process, and why I have never ever needed one, even in my busiest of seasons. But I love that Mike is asking, and if any of you have, I know last week I mentioned 17 Hats, I mentioned Rock Paper Coin, Dubsado is another one. So thank you for bringing that to people's attention. We are a community. Hey, help each other with the best tools. I know on our office hours a couple weeks ago for members only, Mark talked about Plaud, and I can't tell you how often I have been on Plaud's website fantasizing about having that little device because it just looks so awesome. But I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. I'm being fiscally responsible, but I do see it in my future for sure. And that's an example of where Mark was just saying, hey, all the things that Plaud can do in terms of recording conversations, making notes for you, summaries, action steps. Anytime you're in sort of any business where there's meetings and conversations to be had, that can be recorded and put into summary. And I did tell you, I played around with this idea for Officiantly with the developers to have that feature. Essentially what Plaud does is where you sit down, put a recording device that is powered by AI, have the full conversation with your couple about their wedding, and then have that somehow generated into a script. But it just doesn't work. It can't quite get there in terms of all the stage directions. That's the problem, is in order for that to be generated well in the conversation, you would have to say all those bullet points, right? I've showed you in Officiantly what my scripts look like as well. And on here, all the 2 pages of checks and then between, who steps where and who walks where, and music, stops at the front row, music lowers, all that stuff. That's not going to be in the conversation. So until we can kind of eliminate that frictional pain point, then I might be happy to integrate that into Officiantly. The developers already said that would be really cool. Of course, the recording device is subjective as well in terms of what kind of phone do you have. I've even seen other Plaud-like devices come up into the market. And I've been watching YouTube videos because when I buy something, when I'm interested in something, I watch all the review videos, I read the reviews, I look at comparable products, etc. Plaud is still king of the heap, it seems. But some of these products, the mics are just not good. Even the Plaud Note versus the Plaud Pro. The Pro is an upgrade to the Note in terms of sound capturing. And so when we talked about this with the developers, I said, man, what if like somebody were to use Officiantly, but their phone is really crappy, or the mic is not? It's also hardware dependent, how you're capturing the conversation. Anyway, help Mike out. We're going down a rabbit hole here. And he's wondering about an SRM, I think a CRM. Basically, that's a client relations management software where your intake for your couple and dispenses the contract, handles payment, moves them through milestones, triggers, sends out emails when certain things need to happen. I know a lot of you have said you'd love to see Officiantly built out to be fully that. And I've said, well, yes, but that would take another $20,000 investment likely to build that out, and just not there yet. Developing software has been one of the challenges of my adult life. Every single day, it's like, whoo, it has been a lot to get here, and let's just see how things pan out here. Let's let the waters settle a little bit on the functions that we do have. It has really been something, and nobody knows this more than Mike, who has helped test out the software, sent me, oh, this is a glitch, this is weird, and I go to the developers and, oh yeah, they iron it out. They're excellent. I'm going to show you something inside Officiantly before we leave based on a question I had. And so you'll see some of that in action. Hey, Scott is here. Good to see you. You're on the move today, but it's nice to be here. It's nice to have you, Scott. We're really glad you're here. Cantor Mark is driving and listening. SoCal, better late than ever. Hi, Unboring. It's good to see you. We give up our lives on the weekend so you can have one. Yeah, that's, officiants wouldn't charge a surcharge on the weekend. I think that's what you're referring to. The same way a DJ likely wouldn't charge a surcharge on a holiday. It's graduation weekend. That'll cost you extra. All right. Yeah, that's okay, Mike. You missed it last week, but all I was doing was talking people. I don't know if I was talking people out of a CRM. In fact, like I said, if you feel like it would make your life easier, pull the trigger, do it. And I know comparably, sometimes there's some onboarding growing pains, but then once you got it going, it's great. But I was just like, here's why I have never used one. And now, I don't use a CRM, I'm not insured. My goodness, who is this slacker? Why are we listening to this guy? It's just worked out for me, right? Okay, so thank you for revisiting and repeating for me. I'll definitely go back and catch up from last week. Well, like I said, I don't know that it'll help you. If you're looking for a CRM, you know the process. But for me, the process, as I've said, I don't want to recap too much from last week, but there are just moments in the process that I literally would not be able to move forward. I can't get to the wedding. It's not like I can. And trust me, I have had the nightmare. So the struggle is still real of like, when you're a student, I used to have a nightmare of like an exam is happening and I didn't know and I'm not prepared. Well, I have that same officiant dream where it's the ceremony day. And for some reason, I'm on site, but I do not have a ceremony prepared at all for this couple. That's the officiant nightmare, right? That's the equivalent of the student nightmare. Logically and with rationale, I know that can't happen. It literally can't happen because once I accept payment, as I mentioned, 3 months out, I will look ahead. I will book their workshop a few weeks from then. Then once the workshop's done, I have it with them. Boom, I send them the script right away with the questions. They get those in. A couple of weeks before, I'm checking again to accept their payment and reach out to their friends and family. Then those come in. Then the week of, I'm writing their ceremony story. And so there's just things like that like I literally can't get to the next step without doing the one before. So it's just always felt like my system is fail-safe, foolproof. Me being the fool in this case, I'm proofing from myself forgetting something. And so there's that. Thank you for sharing your fantasy life. Thank you, Mark. I got to look at what time you said that because I guess I'm not sure what part of my life and all of my blathering away here you consider to be a fantasy. Claudia says I'm on the Clone Accelerator program. Urgenticai. Okay, so is this a CRM? Okay, and we got Sabrina saying I use Otter. I love it. It automatically generates action points. Yeah, so Otter is great for digital recording. Plaud is great for meeting recording. That's what I've seen. And that's maybe what we've talked about. You basically need a really good device to capture, especially if you're in a setting like with a couple, a meeting, there's clattering of coffee cups and other conversations and things like that. Whereas Otter is great for something like this. You could be recording me right now. Knowing you and Mark, you likely are. You're going to have this all summarized in points, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so people are sharing here. I use Mailer Lite for my emails and RPC for my contracts and invoicing. Um, sounds like expanding officially to a full CRM might be. I've got some connection issues here. What's going on? Let me just check my wiring because I don't want this to happen again. Okay, I'm hardwired here, but I just got the connection lost. Thankfully, we're still here. I don't think I fully lost you. Hey, I would love that. Just like I said, we just need to see the stability of Officiantly as it is now. Laura, good to see you here. Depending on when the call comes in for a holiday, I'll decide depending on the plans I have or don't have, but I do not charge extra. So that's interesting that you're kind of like, okay, if you planned a trip to somewhere and then you got an inquiry, you might say to the couple, quote them a higher fee to make it worth you missing the trip. That makes sense too. So absolutely. Okay, Mark says Otter kills on meetings too. Like I said, agreed. Otter's amazing. It all depends on your recording device, right? Are you doing it on your phone? Or are you doing it on that kind of thing? Hey, Mark, you're the one who got me on this Plaud train, and now I sound like I am an apologist for it. Oh my gosh, Claudia is clearly watching other things I'm doing right now. Blame your CEO. All right, so I just I want to share with you. I love that question. Thanks for the question about insurance, CRM. That's what we're here for, is to go down all these little rabbit holes together. So I'm watching the chat now, but there's a question that I got around someone who said, I have a couple who are, both, they're getting married to each other. They're older, they're in their 60s, and both of them have been either widowed or divorced, and one widowed and divorced. So the question was around like how to sensitively incorporate perhaps other things they might want in the ceremony, how to delicately bring that up in the process. I mean, and so I just wanted to reply to that because it is it could be like a sticky wicket, I guess, something. Officiants, we are very ministerial in that way. We meet people at these joyful moments in their lives, but then we sit down with them and we talk about these very sensitive family dynamics a lot. And a lot of you have said in the wedding workshop, you ask them straight up, is there any family drama that I need to know about? Is there, relationship with your parents? Is that good? Who's going to be here? Some parents have passed away. Some are deceased. Sometimes you'll have different members of the family coming and they do not speak to each other, but they're going to be at the wedding because weddings do bring everyone together, if only physically for an hour or something like that. And so you want to be aware of these dynamics as an officiant. My answer to this question about so I kind of wanted to handle these one at a time. So this is an older couple in their 60s. Now I got to say, and I've talked about it here before, so we'll just take that as its own little case study right now. Let's just say you're marrying a couple who are older. That means they have a lot of life experience. And I've done that. Many of my couples have been older, younger, the whole smattering. And I'll just say to you, I do the same thing every single time. In fact, I've talked about how even if it's a vow renewal, I still do the same thing every time. There's nothing different about my process at all. I'm just quitting some programs here because I'm getting some very weird, like my laptop sounds like it's going to take off here like a rocket. So, and I'm not sure if you can pick that up. There we go. Got to quit some programs. Even with vow renewals, it's the same. I just follow what I teach in Unboring Wedding is the same. The only thing that changes with vow renewals is, you don't want to be saying, I present you for the very first time or that kind of thing. Your language around that kind of stuff changes. But older couples, when your marketing is on point and it's very clear what they're getting, and they hire you, they likely just want exactly what you are offering. So I tell couples, some of the most memorable couples I've ever had were older, second, third marriages, what have you, and they still want the how we met, the first date, the proposal. Everything is exactly the same in that regard. So I would say, don't worry about the age thing or kind of their experience. The second thing, of course, was what about someone who is divorced or divorced multiple times, or they are divorced? Now, I have never, and I've married many couples who are divorced, I have never ever had that come up. And for me, because I only officiate for I can't say this. I've officiated for family and friends a couple times, but 99% of couples that I officiate for, I don't know them. I don't know their personal life. So, for example, when we have the wedding workshop, like one of the questions is not, "Are you divorced?" Right? So, I think there's many, many couples who perhaps have been divorced, and I would never have known it. They did not bring it up. I don't know any couples who want to commemorate any sort of divorce, right? And I'm not saying the person who asked this question was what was suggesting that either by any means. But it's just a case of, okay, so we have someone who's older, check, that's fine. They'll want the same experience. You have someone who's divorced. I'm sure I've married many couples who are divorced. It does not come up. You can save the inappropriate jokes for the wedding reception. When the jokes about, this is like my first wedding, or you should have seen her on her first wedding. There's divorce jokes that you do not want to participate in as an officiant or a celebrant, right? You just want to play it straight. And that's, in my mind, when I'm marrying a couple, this is their wedding. I don't know how many they've had before and how many they'll have after, but it's just like, this is their wedding. And that's what we're focused on. Now, the other part about being widowed is interesting, because I think, this officiant was saying, like, how do I broach that? So this officiant, if they're friends or relatives of yours, you do know that about them. And I guess when you have the conversation in the workshop, again, for me, it might not come up if someone has been widowed. They wouldn't even tell me if they were divorced or widowed. But if you're a friend or a relative, maybe there's this sense that when you sit down with them and you know this about them, you should broach the topic somehow. Now, I would say I don't think there's any need to specifically bring that up in the wedding workshop whatsoever. I think it might make it uncomfortable, but you're going to use your judgment on that, because just bringing things up, I mean, the same way we said, when you ask a couple, is there any family drama? That could be uncomfortable, but it's good to get it on the table. Are you on speaking terms with your family? Will they be there? And that's a question, like, will there be any parents? I talk about kind of how to phrase that. Will there be any parents attending the ceremony? That gives them, you don't want to assume that, okay, both of their parents are going to be there each. It's you don't want to make those assumptions. This is where you find out if someone's deceased, if someone's estranged, if there's step parents or that kind of thing. So that stuff can be uncomfortable. This is why I say, that's A, not any reason to not bring it up, and B, wedding officiants are ministerial in that way. We serve them, not just officiating their wedding, but a deep emotional level involving family and friends and relationships and broken relationships and things like that. We're kind of pastoral in that sense. But I don't think you need to specifically bring it up personally. And again, I say this as someone who I put myself in that position, and I couldn't see myself saying, do you want to commemorate you're a widow? Do you want to commemorate your deceased spouse? I couldn't see myself doing that in a wedding workshop anyway. And I definitely wouldn't just go fishing for it. Have you been married before? Do you have a spouse who happened to be deceased? Definitely not. But I want to show you inside Officiantly where this, I think, gets covered. So if your couple wanted to do something like that, it would likely come up in the workshop organically from them. So I want to kind of walk you through. This is what Officiantly looks like when you have a ceremony. This is the ceremony of Casey and Jordan. So we're going to start just here in the wedding workshop. And this is the questions that you move through with your couple when you sit down and work through planning the ceremony with them. It's all these questions, right? What's their preferred name, their wedding, all the things, the date, all their vendors, microphones, 15 minutes of the ceremony start, do they have a party, who are they, that kind of thing. Opening remarks where you can say the things. Ceremony music, what songs are playing. Casey's party, who are they? Jordan's party, who are they? Standing order, this is how they're all going to be standing. Marry or be, when the ceremony starts, bride walks in, where does she stand? Elements. Now, it's under the elements here that I do want to focus, okay? And this is where you're going to get a couple of questions organically here, like I said, that allow this stuff to surface. So you can see the first question when I get into the ceremony planning session with the couple, after we've answered all these questions, we get to the elements. So this is why marry or be's arrival here is soon. So if marry or be is a bride, she will come in, she will take her place in front, hold hands, and that's where you tell the story. So I typically tell them in this conversation, this is the part where I'm going to tell your love story. But before I do, so it's kind of chronologically the way that I organize these inside Officiantly, again, because I use Officiantly for every single ceremony I officiate. And I use this to accommodate the Unboring Wedding Academy style and system that I teach. So the first question is, has a significant family member passed away who we would like to acknowledge? Is there anyone who is unfortunately deceased who you would like to commemorate? Again, you don't have to quote them this question exactly. So I typically couch it in a couple different ways, maybe. But that question, has a significant family member passed away who we'd like to acknowledge, or is there someone who you'd like to commemorate? It appears here because off the top is where I think it needs to happen right away. That is, after the processional, I love getting them in front of me and saying, Casey and Jordan are here today to get married. They're absolutely perfect. Can I get a heck yeah? Because we answered this question yes right here, and I put Grandpa Joe here for example purposes, I'll show you what that looks like right in the ceremony script draft. We're in this second area now, and this automatically ports everything over, and I'll scroll right down to the story intent of marriage. This is basically your officiant script. Friends and family, we know Jordan and Casey are here today to get married. They're perfect for each other. Can I get an amen or a heck yeah? Again, I love that. Gets everybody cheering. But you see what I say next, and it's right here. I just clicked on this, and this is where you can edit to whatever you'd like. You can get AI to rewrite this, whatever you'd like. But this says, today is a day of tremendous joy and celebration. As we celebrate, we're especially mindful of Grandpa Joe. I use that kind of Grandpa Joe. I don't like to say Casey's grandfather. I really like to colloquially use whatever they were known by. Sometimes it's Papa. Everybody knows who that is. Everybody who needs to know knows who that is. And I told you when I officiated for my sister-in-law, my father-in-law passed away a number of years ago, very suddenly, of an illness, and it was devastating. And I, as the officiant, had to say this language that I've said hundreds of times in other ceremonies about my own father-in-law. And that really was, it was really something to get through for all of us. But acknowledging his absence and his presence in his absence is really important. So this, like I say, I'll just read on because I stopped to know. We wish so deeply they could be with us. They're unable to be physically present. They're in our hearts and minds. They're with us in spirit, and we are grateful to them and mindful of them in all that's happening today. Now, so again, you can get AI. I can't help myself but show you how some of this works. If you were to click this and ask AI to rewrite that, you could do that, but that is what I include in every single wedding ceremony. When a couple says, and we'll go back here to wedding workshop elements, when a couple says, yes, we do have a loved one who has passed away. So this would be covered off here. There's a couple different places where this could happen, and it happens really quickly in terms of the questions here, because I want to tell the couple, before I even get to your story, I'm going to commemorate any loved ones. So they might say, yes, we each have lost a previous spouse, and we would like you to just mention their names, Judy and Sally. It's Judy and Sam, whatever it is. You don't need to go into it. A lot of couples anyway, they're like, don't turn this into another eulogy. We don't want this to feel like a second funeral. but just saying the names, and that's what I said with my own family member. And Grandpa Joe's is a great example, where maybe you just say the first names of the widow, but they will decide. I would honestly never bring it up or suggest it. Do you want to mention your deceased former spouse? But this gives room for them to bring it up. Now, right away is the next question that I also think could handle that, because a couple of senses. Are there any readings or prayers by friends or family? Now, they might want to bring somebody else up to say something or do something, and this is where they would suggest that. Now, another part of the question I didn't include here, but I'll just bring it up now, is this person asked me, they also have adult children from these former marriages, etc. This couple in their 60s. So again, adult children, I don't know that they need to be brought in the same way like a blended family, where there are, little children, and just a step parent is now going to be helping raise the biological child of the marrier there. That is where you might want to get into some more specifics. And I do have that question down here. Are there any custom elements, in parentheses, a step parent addressing a new child, vows to kids, etc.? So if I'm looking at a couple and I know, typically it will have come up in the wedding party part above here. Yes, they're not my children, but they are Casey's children from a previous marriage, and they're going to be walking down the aisle. Well, this is where you might want to suggest to them here, hey, so for those little ones who, are now part of your blended family relationship, would you like to involve them here somehow? And so this is where you would click yes, and then you would maybe work that through with them. And sometimes, I've had somebody who's about to become a stepfather say, I'd really like to present the girls with a necklace or little rings, or give them, tell them a little speech about how I'm marrying their mother and making vows to her. But in the same way, I vow to love them, not trying to replace their father, but to be everything I can for them. Those are usually the most emotional, incredibly beautiful parts of a wedding ceremony. But that's typically for smaller children. If you're talking adult children, it might be more up here. Are there any readings or prayers by friends or family? And again, this is where okay, yes, we'd like to involve the adult children. We'd like them to come and read something. We'd like to have them come and say something, invoke a prayer, or that kind of thing. And down here again is where you might get your older couple saying, maybe, it's not kind of child focused, but maybe they want to address the adult children somehow. So that, to me, and then we get into vow styles and everything else, and the typical things. And of course, you can add things in Officiantly that aren't here. But this section of Officiantly, the elements, it is a very effective catch-all for the kinds of extras here in a ceremony that we are talking about. So that was my way of saying, I don't think you need to worry about their age. I don't think you need to worry about the fact that they are widowed. They likely won't bring it up. If you know that, I wouldn't bring it up, but it will come up perhaps led by them in that section where you say, would you like to commemorate a loved one who has been lost along the way? And then that third part about adult children, then again, would you like someone else to come up? Would you like some sort of special element based on family circumstances specific to your couple? That will also come up in a really well-run wedding workshop, and Officiantly will kind of do that work for you. I really like asking questions that prompt a couple to organically bring something up, to make sure that it's right for them, to make sure they are not stuffing something into a ceremony that they think should be there because it's convention or it's tradition. I think like I've talked about readings, I don't really like to suggest readings to couples. If they say we want a reading and they say, what do you think? I say, what do you think? and it doesn't need to be decided in the wedding workshop. I just say, I think a reading should be really important to you, crucial to you. Maybe it's song lyrics from the night you met or from the night somebody proposed. Maybe it's a poem that you fell in love to over. I met my wife in English Lit in Ottawa University when we were taking our undergrads. So maybe there's a poem there. Somebody want to read a portion, an excerpt from Moby Dick or something like that. Every couple is different, and when it comes from them, it is super extra beautiful. Okay, so let me see here. Hopefully that was a helpful response to that specific question, but to any of you who think, should I broach these potentially uncomfortable topics, don't shy away from discomfort as the officiant. They put themselves in your very capable hands. So don't say, I'm going to stay clear of X, Y, Z just because it's going to be uncomfortable. But what I am saying at the same time is use your judgment in terms of maybe just let things surface when you think it's kind of sensitive like that, or you don't need to overthink it. Let the wedding workshop questions do their work, see if they evoke something. The great thing about this system too is you send the script to the couple. Ideally, you're doing this like 4 weeks before the wedding. And when you send them the full script and they read it, maybe some things percolate. Maybe they get back to you and say, one thing I didn't think about was, yeah, we would like to commemorate. We thought about what you said or something like that. But I don't like to pull teeth in the wedding workshop by any means when it comes to things like that. Josephine said, thank you. That should cover it. Well, Josephine, I never mentioned your name. So you're outing yourself here. These two are my friends, so I know all about the deceased spouses. Yeah. So again, you're clearly comfortable identifying yourself, Josephine. I knew when you were listening, I said, okay. And I did send you an email that was more brief than a 20-minute tangent on it. But hopefully that was helpful. And this community of officiants is obviously a safe and wonderful place to discuss these things. Sabrina says, when asking that, is there anyone recently passed we need to acknowledge? If the widower wants, I suppose. Yeah, that to me is where it would come up. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Sabrina, where just let it surface organically. Obviously they're going to scan, and you do see, I always see the eyes go up, which is like that thinking, reaching back into your memory thing, right? And they think, and they look each other, like they know their history, they know what they're comfortable doing. They're not going to forget that they've lost loved ones along the way. So this is kind of the place and the opportunity to give them to think about it. Another question I had was around my inflexibility around around wedding scripts, and this might be all the time we have for. I do see. So if anybody else has a question, drop it in there now. I'm basically answering this to fill out our hour, although nowhere does it say it has to be 60 minutes, but I enjoy hanging out with you. And if I can convey some things and I had enough questions in the week, we can go the full hour. I had someone reach out to me and say, Mark, you talk in the in Unboring Wedding Academy, because this person's a member, that I always recommend don't finalize your script until after the rehearsal. I recommend in the course, and I teach a whole module, stage 5, how to run the rehearsal, an authoritative rehearsal. Rehearsals are my favorite. But I always say things might happen in the rehearsal that require you to change the script. That is why we're rehearsing, after all. We might find out that we talked about something in the wedding workshop, we put it on the paper in black and white, then we got to the venue and like the space doesn't accommodate that. It's not conducive the way we imagined it. People can't stand the way you thought because of space limitations or that kind of thing. And so things sometimes get changed in terms of those stage directions, who's walking in when and where they stand, and that kind of thing. Hopefully you're not looking at other major structural changes in the ceremony by any means. That shouldn't happen. Actually, I shouldn't say that shouldn't happen. Anything can happen at the rehearsal. But ideally, you're not having to go home and rewrite the entire ceremony. But I do love walking into the ceremony with a very clean script with all of the stage directions written down. That's very important to me. And I think when I showed you like briefly inside Officiantly here, you can see how maniacal I am about the this is what we send the couple. I haven't generated the final draft for this yet, so I can't show you the export version. But look at like ceremony notes here, officiant checks, pre-ceremony checks, 30 minutes before the ceremony, 5 minutes before the ceremony. Everything you just saw, none of that was a word that I was saying yet. This is all the lineup, the names at the back. Start of the ceremony. Mark takes the front with Sam, Colin, Quinn, Jesse, and then Frank and Jim, and then Beth and Steve fades the wedding music out. And then I speak, but then the entrance. Steve starts the song. Mark says, please stand. Steve starts Jordan's song, Ophelia, processional, etc., etc., etc. So that is all in there as stage directions. And that's the kind of stuff that could get changed the night of the wedding. Now, this question I had said, Mark, I'm traveling for this wedding. I'd really like to print it ahead of time and take your advice in that regard to print it and have it nice and clean. But what if I get to the rehearsal and a bunch of stuff changes? My answer was, it's actually blessedly rare that things actually change. And if they do change, it's usually based on somebody is sick or can't make it, or some drama broke out. I have seen that. And so you kind of strike somebody off. And I guess this is where I'm thinking this would be physical. So if you were traveling, you printed out your script because you couldn't get your hands on a printer ahead of time or that kind of thing. I still think that that's ideal. Print it and have that step done, including your whole speech. You feel great about it. You can practice on the plane or whatever. And then if you get there and it's like, Sarah's not going to be here anymore, okay, strike that off. Or we've had a switch. Now the new maid of honor is Kara. Okay, so you can just, and typically your changes are going to be, and the planner does this too. They're scratching, even if they've got a plan. I've seen this. They have their binder. With some of them are very planned. Some of them it's a sheet of lined paper, and they're asking me 5 minutes before rehearsal. Okay, what's the processional? Like planners are all of a different stripe. Again, some of them have a full spreadsheet of all the names and a chart, and they get there and it's all done beforehand. Another time they're coming up to you. Oh, you have the script. Okay, so just read to me who's coming in when. And then I'll be at the back and direct them. Whatever a planner does, I'm so grateful. I love planners. Thank goodness. Just a planner being there is our light and our salvation. So thank you very much to that. But they're all a bit different. And you might be similar where you just have to bring a pencil or a pen and make some changes. But typically there's stage direction changes. I don't think you're going to get a case at the rehearsal where the couple suddenly says, you know what we want? We just decided we want like a full jumping over the broom and coin ceremony or something like that. And you're like, what? I can't insert that. Now, worst case scenario, that does happen. And you can write that the night of in your hotel and have that separately or slipped in as a separate page. I would say bring enough page protectors. I've shown you in my binder. I have those slip covers that, 3-ring binder. I have it loaded up with those plastic page covers. I guess I'll do it now, but this is going to make some noise because I'm not muted. I knew it was against my better judgment. I should have been a bit more careful. So I unplugged my Yeti. You can see the bottom there. Thank you for telling me that in the chat. I did see something pop up and say you are muted, but I think we're good now. Still can't hear me. Still can't hear me. Still can't hear me. Still can't hear me. Can you hear me now? This is very weird. Can you hear me now? I can select the microphone, but now just please let me know if you can hear me. And this is one of those awkward moments where I'm going to be on here just long enough to say goodbye. I'm not hearing that you can hear me now. Okay, now we're good. Thank you. I don't know about the delay. So like I said, I when I pulled my binder out, the cord fell out of my Yeti. And hey, that's good enough, right? No mic working. So like I was saying, I would make sure I have an extra one of these or two if I felt like I was somewhere and I might need to hand write some extra scripting. This is kind of your way to make sure that you can do that and then put it in the ceremony where, for example, if they were to say something wild, like we've decided we want a full blah, blah ritual, unity ritual. And you go, okay, I guess I'll go home and write that. It's up to you whether you want to be that accommodating. Some officiants would be like, I'm sorry, we've done this and the script is final. So I'll leave that up to you, but I'm just talking logistics right now. And what I'm saying is, I think you can not worry. You can print it out, and worst case scenario, you're going to have a page like this where some of the names are different, or you cross things out, or you move people around. But once you're into the ceremony proper, where you need to talk and read the story, you likely won't have anything to change there at all. So my advice would be print away, make sure that that's done. And you go to the rehearsal and there might be some very minor changes. Obviously, if you're a tablet person, then this is moot for you, and kudos to you. I do not trust technology enough at the old grizzled age of 46 years old. I've tried it. I tried the tablet thing, and the whole time I thought, I hope this thing doesn't crap out. I hope this thing doesn't crap out. I hope this thing doesn't. And one time I did it in the sun, and I could feel the thing getting hot. And I was like, oh, shoot, oh, shoot, oh, shoot. Oh, paper and binder never failed me. And so I went back to it because I don't want those things in my head. All right. So Sabrina says, I must dash. Chem check with a couple. Starts in just a few. Absolutely love that. She's off to do a chemistry check with a potentially new couple. Love it. Wonderful. Okay. So that was today. Thank you for being in the chat, telling me when I was muted, when my cord fell out. Of course, you couldn't have known that. And all the other things. I absolutely love doing this with you. If you want to become a member of Unboring Wedding Academy, unboringweddingacademy.com gets you the course, gets you your membership. You're in for life, like it or not. You get access to Officiantly for a ceremony, so you can kick the tires, see what it's like. I want everybody who's in the course to experience what it's like and creating the ceremony in the easiest possible way. If you want to upgrade to more ceremonies, officiant.ly, that gives you unlimited ceremonies for a year, and then you just purchase it like a license. And as discussed, I have a pro course, unboringweddingacademy.com/pro. That is not kind of a Venn diagram. Which one do I buy? That's a total sequel course. It's just about how to do the business side of officiating. So there's no overlap. There's no duplication of material. It's completely separate. And if you want to take your business by the horns in 2026, Unboring Wedding Pro is the course for you. Thanks, friends. You make this special. You make Thursdays wonderful. I will be back next week, same time, same channel, to spend the hour with all of you once again. Have a wonderful weekend, rest of your day, and until I see you next time, marry on. Cheers, friends.